Is there anybody out there? I thought I'd play around a little bit this morning with a live chat. So let's see if anybody comes on board. Now I need to figure out where I find out if anybody is on board. Not yet. I see it. I'll go to my phone here. And, ooh, look at that. Hello, Dylan. Yeah, a little unexpected. Been kind of tossing and turning over this whole subject of all this hate. Let me do something here. I want to try if I can get my phone to kind of monitor so I don't wind up with echoes. This is all unscripted, all freelance. Who else we got out there? Yeah, give me just a few minutes, Dylan, and I'll have you join in. I'll give you the link. I want to see if I can, because I'll have to mute my phone. Okay, let's try. No, not gonna let me do it. Oh well. Yeah. Anybody? I got three people online. Anybody else out there? You see the subject? Been kind of a conversation lately between some of us, and I've actually been kind of tossing and turning all night about this. Um, Here, let me do this. I am going to put in the comments here the link. And anybody that wants to join in, you could do it without your face. You could just do it by voice. Just mute the, just X out the camera. Um, I had to put on a shirt and kind of wipe my eyes a little bit because I've been sitting here, actually been reading a book and tossing and turning. So here's the link. So for anybody that wants to join in, join in. We'll have a little bit of a chat, but I want to build up a little bit of an audience here. We got two people. I really want some input because, especially from those who have known me since I started this channel 3 years ago. Hard to believe, 3 years, unbelievable. But anyway, if you look in the comments, you will see a link to join in, and you're free to join in and chat. Now we're down to just one. So I guess nobody wants to chat. All right, I'm gonna add you in here. Good
There
morning.
we go.
Now I want to make sure we're not getting any echo from you.
Echo, echo, echo.
Yeah. In your settings, make sure you got your echo cancellation checked off. Check, so we don't get any echo.
Uh,
Oh, we got up to four people. Who else we got out there? Join in, people. Just put your comments down. I want to know. I want to have a. I really want to have a good conversation because I've been really tossing and turning about this all night. There was a video put out by Brent yesterday regarding this, and I've had my viewpoints about this. I've been back and forth, and all night long I just tossed and turned because I've never been one that really was very good about just letting some of the hate out there because there's some disgusting channels out there that spew hate
yeah.
and especially with Priscilla. I personally I could care less what she does in her life. I don't care. I'm not a fan either way. There's some things that she does that I don't agree with, but there's some things that she has done that has kept Elvis's legacy. And who we got? Martin. Hello, Martin from Ireland. Wow, welcome. Thank you very much for joining in. So the topic, I don't know how long you've been in, Martin, but you see by the title. Um, I've been tossing and turning about this for ever since I started this channel. Um, I've always had an issue with people, the trolls that are on some of the Elvis channels and are on my comments and my videos, and then some of the channels that are just pure hate. And there was a conversation yesterday that was held, that about one channel that was just spewing hate about, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to name any names, and I refuse to even name the name of this channel anymore because she just spews hate all the time about Priscilla. Claims to be an Elvis scholar, but all her videos are about hate. And I kind of backed off of responding anymore because of an issue that I had a year or so ago with one commenter that I had commented on this channel, and they went after me like, flies on, well,
Mm-hmm.
and
I remember.
yeah, and I got a really nasty email from somebody, and this went on for a year.
Did you
And
get that sorted?
yeah, well, what happened is, he wound up sending me a Google Maps picture of my house, so he knew where I lived. So I actually got the law enforcement involved, and I got that all resolved. He was he came face to face with some law enforcement as far as stopping. So, but I'm a everybody knows how big of a fan I am of Elvis, and I defend his legacy. That's why I started this channel. And I challenge anybody to go through my channel of all 300 some videos and find one video that's negative about anybody, anybody that's pertaining to the legacy of Elvis, about anybody around him. I will tell my stories. I will do my videos about certain things and what I believe, but I will never attack anybody personally the way that this person attacks people. But the reason why I did this is because yesterday in the comments, I pretty much laid it out that I'm not gonna respond anymore. I'm not gonna say anything. I would rather just let it go and ignore it because that's going to irritate them more. They want response from people, and and I really want everybody's feedback. That we don't have a whole lot of. I know it's just spur of the moment, and I'll probably talk about this just a little bit on Sunday when I do my live stream. But I don't want, I was just, I had, we had a conversation, some comments back and forth between a few of the other channels, and I had pretty much said I'm not going to respond anymore. And Steve from the Ultimate, what's the name of the channel? Ultimate Elvis fan Elvis channel. Everybody knows Steve. Anyway, he talked about how he can't stand back, and that's why I've been my viewpoint. And I don't know if I may have come across too strong because I'm really irritated with this whole hate scene with Elvis on
Mm.
Facebook everywhere. It just all drives me up a wall. Please comment, everybody, if you're online and joining in. Please comment. Let me know what you think about this. And you're even welcome to join us on screen either by just audio or video. I really want everybody's input. But after I know my comment was I'm not going to do it anymore, especially after this whole incident. I'm not scared of anybody. I don't worry about anybody, but it's my family that I'm more concerned about. But anyways, all night I've been working on a review for the new Memphis box set that I finished up last night, and I just got to record today. And but I've tossed and turned. I was trying to read a book, and I couldn't read the book because I kept thinking about this whole thing and how to my channel in the top. Everybody's been to my channel. It says defending the legacy of Elvis Presley. Well, how do I defend it if I don't defend it? I
Mm.
can create videos that highlight Elvis and his career.
I just choose to ignore like all the whatever negative stuff. I
What's
choose
that?
to, I choose to ignore it. Like all like the
Yeah,
negative.
and everybody, I don't disrespect or I don't challenge anybody. Everybody does what they want to do. It's your own choice. You know, you don't with the presence that I have now on YouTube, I feel like I've got to somehow defend it by saying something. But I made a remark that I'd rather French kiss an orangutan than ever name any of these channels anymore. Literally, I don't think they deserve having their name mentioned. And I'm sitting here about an hour ago thinking, what do I do? It's just driving me crazy. I'm trying to get ready for my live stream on Sunday. I got 3 videos I'm trying to put out, and I thought, well, you know what? Let me just go live. I've never done this on the spur of the moment, but I thought, let me just go live and see what you all think. Especially those that have followed me since day one. You have all know that I've had my troll patrol where I go after the people that make really nasty, rude remarks about Elvis,
Yeah.
and I've actually got a whole folder of them. Where I screenshot them, and I'm just like sitting back. What do I do? What do I do? Because I've kind of laid back for the last year since all this happened with this one gentleman who happened to not live very far from me. But anyway, my thought is I'm not going to back off. And and with all apologies to Steve for the defense that I gave him myself, and I kind of I hope I didn't come across as rude. Steve's a great guy, and and I respect what he wants to do, and I respect what Brent wants to do. But I don't think I can back off. But I'm going to develop a way that I can respond without coming across as in their class of people.
Mm.
I made a video that parodied her, this person, this channel. It parodied her, and it was quite. I sent it to, a friend of mine in the UK, and I can be very. I want to say childish, but I have a strange sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Me
thought
too.
it came. I thought it was pretty funny, and I actually put it on my Facebook page in my Facebook channel for a very short time, and I backed off. I pulled it back off, and I thought, do I want to do this? And I wasn't going to put it on YouTube because I don't need. I didn't need this person. And it was very clear who this video was about, and I don't need to have her coming after me with community standards. So I decided I'm going to back it off, and I'll come up with different ways I can respond in a great way. And I just don't have any respect for people like that. But that's why I'm on right now. And we've got, I know, I got 7 people on. So let me know where you're all from. Oh, who's Grumpy Flyer 1990? Where are you from? Tell me where you're from when you say hello, because I like to know where I'm covering. What I think at this what I'm doing now, I can kind of almost encompass the whole world, because I know the Australia is 14 hours ahead of me, so that makes them 7 o'clock tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it 7 o'clock tonight. So they're just getting home from work. Maybe some of them will join me. Let's see, Grumpy
America.
Fly. Oh, America. All right, what part? I'm in Georgia. I am the great southeast part. I can probably tell from my accent. You know, we got Dylan, who's from the UK.
UK. Yeah. It's morning
Um,
time already.
you know, just just chime in on the thoughts. If you just new, I'll be glad to recap everything. I'm discussing the hate that comes out by the other channels, and I had yesterday pretty much said I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I tossed and turned, and I don't want to come across as a hypocrite with what I said. So what I want to do is just talk to everybody. East Coast, all right, cool. Um, but my channel, if anybody who's followed me for a long time has ever gone to the description of my channel, right in the beginning, I start off by saying it's to defend the legacy of Elvis,
Yeah.
and that means anybody who talks bad about anything outside of Elvis himself, the people that encompassed him. And like I said, I don't care who it is they talk about. You want to have an opinion about somebody, for example, with Priscilla, I don't agree with the fact that she's going to be buried there at Graceland, but I don't, it's not my business. I'm not the one that makes the choice. It's up to Riley. It's up to them. I don't like it, but I'm just a fan. I
Hmm.
have nothing to say. But when you badmouth and just get really nasty about it, I don't accept that on my channel, and it's not going to happen on my channel. I will delete. I have a whole list of people that have been deleted from my channel for nasty, hateful messages. Everything else, I will never delete an opinion that's different than mine. Everybody's got that opinion. My dad taught me that. He says, you can't sit there and think that your opinion is always right. And I've been proven right, especially since I started this channel 3 years ago. I can't tell you how much I've learned off this channel that I've always believed before, and I find out stuff, and I'm like, wow, I really thought this. But the hate, that's why I didn't sleep much last night. I just, it just, the whole conversation, and it's about the conversation I had yesterday. And I just want to kind of wanted to get a feeling of what some of the subscribers and some of the followers here think about that. Do you do you, do you disagree that I should even reply back to them or make a statement? And I'm not gonna do it like I used to do it before, but I will. I do have my little troll patrol, and I will go after the ones who leave nasty remarks on my channel.
It's what you're
And
famous for now.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I have no holds barred.
Yeah,
Um,
you are the troll master. That's what Brent calls you. He goes, yeah, Rick. Yeah, Rick is the troll master.
Sometimes I just got to vent,
Yeah, yeah.
and to me, I feel like I'm protecting the legacy of Elvis. I've been a fan since 1962, and
That's
the
a long
hate
time.
the hate's always been there for Elvis in different form or fashion.
Yeah,
Even when I was growing up, I grew up at a time, where my formative years, my teenage and elementary years, was during the movie years. And you know even though everybody knows that I'm a musician and into music, and I've been playing guitar for almost 60 years, and so I'm into all kinds of music. I love all kinds of music. So I grew up, in my opinion, the best generation of music
yeah.
ever.
I
You got the English bands, you got Stones, you got Zeppelin, you got the Beatles, and then America, we got the Eagles, we got
got the
and
doors and
Creedence Clearwater, all of them, and I love them all. And but when I got into high school, and we would be sitting around talking about the Stones coming to concert and all that. And I can remember one conversation. I was sitting in architectural drafting class one day, and the person in front of me talking about he'd gone to the Stones concert before, and he says they were the best concert. They sold it out. They were the largest crowd, made most money, and I still remember these numbers. I looked at him. I said, "You're nuts, man." I said 1970, and I was 12 in 1970, but I knew this number. I said 1970, Elvis sold out the Forum and made the largest. And of course, this is in those days when tickets were only $8 or $10. Sorry, my mouth's dry. I said Elvis still holds the record for $313,000 taken in, and what that is today is probably close to
it's
about three
probably
or
like
four, three.
millions.
Yeah, and Stones only took in 280. I shut the guy up, but he mocked me. He says Elvis is a has been. I said, "Are you kidding me?"
And then he
I,
went there again in '74 and
and
probably broke.
this was this was in 1972, because I just started high school. And why? Hello, I haven't seen you for a long time.
Me neither.
It's very rare that I even participate on any of the channels. You know what? I see that a lot, and people get fed up with this stuff, and that's why I keep mine positive. Like I said a little bit ago, for those of you who are just coming in, I may repeat some stuff for those who've been here, and I appreciate it. But I want everybody's comment. And if anybody wants to come on, like I said, and just audio, or just say some things, I more than welcome it. I knew I'd wake up Dylan, or I knew he'd be awake. Sadly, it's very rare now that I participate on Elvis channels now. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you joined me now. I'm glad to see you. I know that you've had your challenges,
Hmm.
but thank you so much. But anyway, this was 1972, and they're like, "Oh, he's in a has been." And Elvis the tour had just come out, and I was 14 years old. It's actually the first year I saw Elvis, and so I used to get mocked a lot, but 'cause he's a has been, and all that. But I fought that legacy, and that hate was always there, not to the extent it is today, because we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have
Facebook.
Snapchat, we didn't have Facebook, none of that stuff. We only had 3 channels on the TV, and the only way you found out anything about concerts coming up was by reading it in the newspaper or a billboard. You know, hatred to me is a coward's way of elevating them. You are
Yep.
dead on right, Anwai. It's like the channel that I'm talking, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I am not gonna mention the name. There's a few other ones like this, but it's like Krypton for them. They got, and not Krypton, but spinach for them, like for Popeye. They feed on the hated feedback, and it just gets them going. They have nothing to say about Elvis because they don't know anything about Elvis. They claim to be scholars and historians, but when your 80% of your videos are all spewing hate, you're a loser. I'm sorry, but I can't sit back and not respond because that's what my job is. I should say job, but that was my mission when I started this channel.
That's what your duty is.
Yeah, and there's a few others. There's several of us that are the same way. So, oh man, I'm really glad to see you, Anway. It's nice. See, let me scroll down here. See what we still. You still with us, Grumpy Fly? I love that name, Grumpy Fly. Martin, you still there with us? Just give me a shout, yeah. Um, but that's what I came on for. I just wanted to vent and pretty much just let and especially I really felt bad about I kind of felt bad about what I still stand by what I said, but I don't know if I said it in the I have a tendency to be a little not rude, but to
Forward.
the tactless.
Yeah, forward.
Yeah, a little forward about it. So but I understand his viewpoint. But my viewpoint is I'm not going to do it for views or clicks. I'm not going to post on there on my title and put on the thumbnail some nasty picture or not to try to get the clicks. I would just have my discussions in a normal format. My channel, I started this channel, nothing to do with formats. Let's see. What I'm gonna, show that. So, not sure what happened, but I was hoping you had an answer to the question. Not sure answer to which question. The hate, the toxicity that infiltrated Elvis channels lately has sickened me to the stomach. Elvis was all about love, never hate. You never heard of Elvis talking bad about anybody, ever.
No.
I'm sorry, Grumpy Fly. Are you talking about the question that I put out there? Because I think I'm looking for some thoughts. And do you think it's a negative from your title? Yeah, my title is I can't remember the name. An unexpected chat. Yeah, I think my thoughts are yesterday where I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm just ignore it. I'm not going to say anything. But my answer is I can't do that, especially tossing and turning, because I've always challenged these thoughts. But it's how do I approach it? And I'm not going to approach it I'm not going to give anybody the satisfaction of being nasty and hateful. I'm going to approach it in the way I've always approached it, in a stand-up way and to the point. I the first time that I had the issue when I had the person attack me with some really nasty emails and really got really nasty, I was a little rude and nasty in my comments after a while, and I'm not going to do that anymore. It's just not worth it. I want my channel to be respectful towards Elvis's legacy, but how do I defend his legacy if I just keep my mouth shut? Does that kind of make sense to you, Grumpy Fly? I absolutely love that name. Who else we got out there? Hey, Anway, do you remember? I hope Anway said, do you remember Alamia? She was one of the first subscribers. I haven't heard from her a long. I know she has the illness, so if you know anything about her, let me know. But yeah, let me. Does that answer your question, Martin? 1054 in Ireland. I think it's brilliant that you keep Elvis's name going. He was the greatest. I love. Let me put this on there. I'm gonna put that on there. I keep forgetting I can put it on the screen. I think it's brilliant that you keep Elvis's name going. He was the greatest. I love hearing recording, outtakes, etc., and your interpretation of the different arrangement musicians. Well, Martin, I think you're going to really enjoy my video I was working on today, because I've decided to really get back to those. I am doing a review comparison with the new Memphis box set that's coming out actually tomorrow. And I order the download. I don't order the box set anymore because the box sets, I'm more into the music, and the box sets just sit on a shelf. And when I'm long gone, those box sets are probably going to go to Goodwill or something somewhere. So I do the media thing, and they released 3 of the songs through. When I bought the media, I was able to download 3 of the songs that would go with it when I download it. Well, actually, midnight tonight, I'll be able to download the rest of it. So what I've done, and you're going to really enjoy this because I finished the whole thing. I just got to do the final recording, and I'll have it up today. Is I've broken down like I always did the 3 songs: "Danny Boy," "In the Ghetto," and the live version of "Polk Salad" from the Memphis. And what I've done is I split the song. So when you're hearing it, you hear it from the original, then you hear the new version, and you hear it from the original, and you're going to hear it, and it's got to be with headphones because it's the only way you're going to get the perspective. You're going to hear how much of a difference of what they did with the new version. And I think I've done a minute of each song, and I'm hoping I don't get blocked with it. But I'm also got a video coming out about the YouTube community and the copyrights. I'm going to clarify a lot of misconceptions about that whole copyright thing. But I broke it down, and all 3 songs, and pretty interesting to hear the differences. The biggest thing is, well, I don't want to spoil it. I want everybody to enjoy it. I'm glad after listening to this that I did purchase the package by media, because I think there's going to be some differences. I know they didn't do some. There's 111 tracks on this. I wish they'd done everything from Memphis on this box set. Let's see, Anwar. I'm going to put that up there. I just had to comment. I've kept quiet for way too long. I've been an Elvis fan for my eyes are blurry. 64 years in Canada. I prefer to dwell on the positivity surrounded him, and to be eternally grateful for all he brought to the world. You know what? That's a great way to do it. After so many years, you just get so sick of it. And I know exactly what you mean, and I appreciate that. Respect you for that, and thank you for sharing that. So Martin, I think you'll enjoy it, and I appreciate that. I am working on another song. I broke away from it a little bit because I needed to set it up that I'm recording, and I think you're gonna like it. I'm gonna surprise you with it, and that's why it's taking me a little bit longer, because it's one of his best live songs that he done back in 1970. And you will never hear me do "Hurt." You will never hear me do "Unchained Melody." You will never hear me do any of those songs, because, quite honestly, I don't have the vocal ability to do that. And I do the songs in my own style, in my own fashion. I don't.
That's what I was gonna say. You could do her like in your own way. Like you don't have to go for like the power notes. Like you could just
Well,
do it in
yeah,
like your
yeah.
own
I mean,
style.
maybe eventually I'll get to the point where I do try to do something like that, because I love the song. The one song that I've always loved, and I really wish I had the vocal ability to do, is "What Now My Love." Now, when I played when I was playing out and gigging, I used to do "You Gave Me a Mountain" all the time, but I did it the Marty Robbins style, so a little more countrified and all that. And so, with my Muddy Waters song, I countrified it, and I do everything non-digital as much as possible. 95% of the stuff I do is non-digital, so they're actual instruments. And I've got myself the percussion, where I've got an actual 5-gallon bucket where I'm going to use for a bass drum and some tambourines, and then I got a nice little box for doing some percussion with a little bit of snare. And I prefer it that way because, first of all, it's easier to record because I don't have to work on a time clock.
Yep.
I just start off, I do it, and I set my timing, and I play along with it that way, because um, I've always recorded straight live. I come from the old school, the analog school, and I didn't have
Yeah.
that.
That's
I either
that's
were
the way to do it.
I either worked off the timing of the drummer. If I was working with a drummer, let him kick it off, and we'd go from there.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, back to the subject. I see we got 10 people. Who's that? Anybody out there want to chime in? Say hello. Where are you from? I'm kind of curious to what I know. We've got Martin from Ireland. Is it Martin from Ireland?
Yep.
Yeah, Martin from Ireland. We got Grumpy Fly from the East Coast here. Of course, we got me from Georgia. We got Dylan from the UK, and anybody from underneath, down under. I'd love to know who's there. Um, but this, I'm not going to spend too long here because I know people uh, are getting ready for work, or they're just getting home from work, or they're in the middle of lunch. And that's the hardest thing. That's why I'm doing my live stream on Sunday. I'm doing it twice. The first one is going to be like the normal time, like Steve does. I'm doing it a couple hours before he does, so I don't want to run into his show. But I'm also going to do it again 7 o'clock the next morning for the down under, so they can get it at 9 o'clock the next night. They really asked that I try to do it when they don't they have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch it. A 5-gallon bucket of the bass drum, very creative. Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen those videos where you see these street players and they got a bunch of 5-gallon buckets. So what I do is I've taken the 5-gallon bucket and I lined it with some foam, and so I get a little bit deeper, and I mic it. I'll just stick a mic in there, so it'll work pretty good. I just use the tambourines on the other one, and with the tambourines, you hit them right, you can get different pitches. But it's fun. You know what, and why you're right. They are past reasoning, and that's why I don't even mention their names when I don't even mention names anymore. I'm not going to mention. They'll thrive off that. They want to hear their name out there and all that. So my response is going to be generic. If I do a response, if it's really bad, I'm only going to go after nasty stuff. And there's a few videos that were put out that were wrong. I have a video that I'm going to do a reply to in a generic way, that they were talking about Benjamin Keogh being murdered. And it's such a ridiculous, it's just such a ridiculous thing. So, and it's clickbait. People see that and they click on it. Guess who suckered? Guess what sucker clicked on it? I clicked on it. I go, I got to hear this. It's only about 4 or 5 minute video. But so I got to respond to that. I clarify some things, some rumors, and just different stories that aren't true. But I'm going to be doing more books and stuff like that too. Um, I've got some books that I want to start reviewing. But I really hope everybody does come on. If you get a chance, stop by for a little bit. I'm going to have a few giveaways for Sunday. I've got a couple DVDs, some of the Star DVDs. I've got a book that came from Graceland. It's a souvenir book. I actually had 2 of them, so I want to give that away. And a couple of little collector issues that were brought out several years ago, back in 2007. Anyway, I am going to be getting back to that. So I've got a video coming out tomorrow. Today, what is today? Thursday. I got a video coming out. I'm going to be analyzing the new box set from Memphis, the Memphis box set. I'm going to be comparing. Is it really worth it? Did they do anything with it? Because I got really frustrated with a couple of the ones that they released the last couple of years, like the Aloha from Hawaii was just the same thing. They just re-released a new package, and it was nothing was done with it. And then the Elvis on Tour thing, where there was just they forgot to credit Ronnie Tutt. How do you forget about Ronnie Tutt as the drummer for Elvis? Tell me, how do you do that? It's actually, you're waiting for mine. Did you order it by you ordered it online? Did you order the box itself, Grumpy Fly, or did you order are you getting the media download? For those of you who have Amazon streaming, it will be on Amazon streaming for a while if you subscribe to it. And we're putting out lies. Elvis family suffered. Oh my God, you're so right, Martin. Yeah. So, but that's, I heard the 3 songs on Amazon streaming, and I thought, I compared them, and you couldn't really tell the difference too much. But when I bought the media download, I was able to download those 3, and you could tell the difference. You guys will enjoy it. It's not going to be a real long one. I'm doing a clip of each. I'm not doing the whole song. I'm just doing a minute and a half of each song, and it'll break down. You'll just listen to you, and you really have to get the best benefit. Like I'll say in the beginning of the video, is you got to do it with the headphones to hear the difference. Because quite honestly, if you're just throwing the CDs in, the DVDs or CDs in to listen through your stereo system, you'll hear some of the difference, but you really get it fine tuned with the headphones. Media, you'll get it at midnight tonight. Then midnight tonight, it'll be downloaded. You'll have it right away because I'll have mine too because I think it comes out tonight at midnight. I hope it's Eastern time because I don't want to have to wait for the West Coast to hit midnight. I have to wait for them on some things already. Uh, I mean that jokingly. No offense. I grew up on the West Coast, so. But anyway, I just wanted to chat. Appreciate everybody coming in. Martin, Grumpy Fly, and Y, Dylan. I just thought I'd try and see if I got any kind of response. It's the first time I've ever done this on the spur of the moment. It's kind of fun. I'm wearing my camouflage shirt, so I've just was relaxing. But I said I got to talk to somebody about this, and my wife's not really. It's not a topic where I really discuss with her, so she supports my channel extremely. And I thought, well, who better than Elvis fans? So let's see. Anyway, media download. Well, everybody, Martin's remark was, it's so weird, it's so sad, weird people putting out lies. A lot of them just do it for the clicks. Let's talk about for a second. Let's talk about some of the reaction channels. It's very hard to find a really honest, true reaction channel who aren't just doing it for riding on the gravy train with Elvis and giving these fake reactions like I'm a lot of them I know have heard this for the first time, but I've have yet to find a reaction where any of them said no, I don't like the song. It's because they know they're going to get Elvis followers and say, hey, well, try this one, and they get the clicks and they get the views and they build it up, and then they never reply. I try very hard to reply to everybody as much as I possibly can, whether I even just give a heart or a like. And if you're from a different country and you reply in your language, I Google Translate and stick it up there. I try my best. It's getting a little bit harder sometimes because of so many subscribers, but I do. I take the time to catch up and reply. And some of them, they don't even reply back to you when you leave a comment, or they give the wrong information when they're talking about it. And I put a comment and say, well, that's not exactly true and all that. And they never reply back. And, so they're not in it for the, for the honest reaction. They're in it for the big facial expression. Whoa, on the thumbnail. I just laugh about that. That's why very rarely you'll see my face in the thumbnail, especially with a reaction. Oh, you know what? I'm reviewing the new Memphis box set, and this was my reaction. I'm not going to do that. It's ridiculous. So anyway, let me know what you think about my review. I hope everybody takes the time to come to. Oh, but Grumpy. I like Seth play. You know what? I like them. I like them too. I just discovered them about a month or so ago. And oh, you know what? I didn't realize he was doing the chronological order. Yeah, he seems to be honest, and a true reaction. Another person that he doesn't do much Elvis anymore, but I like his channel is I can't think of his name now. He was one of the first ones. He's I can't think of his name. Hey, Joe. Well, thanks for joining us. Well, my topic, Joe, I'd like to get some of your feedback. Grumpy Fly, I do. I like them. I've got them in my subscription, so I get the notifications when they put a new one out. Um, anyway, who was it? John, yeah, hi, am I John? There's Dylan. Hey, Joe. So, and if you want to chime in, Joe, and show your face, or you just want to, feel free to, I'll put the link up, and you can just do audio or whatever. But my subject is the hate. Yesterday, Brent put out a interesting video that I kind of challenged. I just thought, why are we doing this? Why are we bringing up the names of these people? Within all you're doing is, feeding their ego. And I had kind of gotten to the point where I'm not going to reply anymore. I almost replied to the whole hate thing with it from this one channel. So I kind of tossed and turned because even though I still stand by with my remarks on the comments and on the video, I kind of took the stand at the end that I'm not going to address it anymore. But I got to somehow address it in a certain way. Any of the hate that comes out there, and I will never ever mention the name of any of these channels. They don't deserve it, but I will, in a roundabout way, make comments about some of the hate that's being put out there, because my channel, as everybody knows, it's all about the legacy of Elvis. And my channel, 3 years this month, I started this channel, and it's all been about protecting the legacy of Elvis. And how do I defend it if I don't say anything? Martin, reaction channels are help. Yeah, you're right. All the good ones are really doing that. And I say that to them. I leave remarks in them. You got to weed them out. You got to weed some of them out. But you're right, Martin. Especially since the movie came out, in 2022. It's kind of rejuvenated that, and people are discovering that he's not some buffoon in Vegas, from fat buffoons in marrying people in a wedding chapel in Vegas or something like that. There's some really honest people out there. The only time I ever block, the only time I ever block anybody is if they're really nasty and rude. I never block or eliminate anybody from my channel of commenting if they have a difference of opinion. And I've been blocked many times because I've given a difference of opinion and they shut me down. They don't want to hear it. But everybody's got a different opinion. I said this at the beginning of the broadcast. I've been wrong before, and I've discovered a lot of things that I believe for years since I started this channel. Joe, I'm going to show that. Joe says, I don't feed into the toxicity. Why can't they focus on the? It's so true. There's so much the channels could focus on rather than the hatred. And it's those people that focus on the toxicity because that's just in their innate. They thrive on that hate, and I don't understand why. Some of them out there say that they're historians and been fans for 50 some years, or they're scholars, and that all they do is spew hate, so they're not fans. That's a very good point, Joe. Um, you know, so that's been pretty much our topic here. Like I said, I appreciate everybody chiming in. It was just a spur of the moment, and I can't believe I've been on for 45 minutes. I was just getting ready to lay down. I've been working on my new video I'm releasing today. Joe, just to let you know, I'm releasing a review of the new Memphis box set. I bought the download, and the 3 that they released already I was able to get, and so I did a quick breakdown of the songs like I used to do, and I got it all put together. The whole video is ready, and I just gonna need to finish my narrative, and it's gonna get uploaded today as long as they don't block the video because the songs in there. But I don't think they will. I'm hoping they don't, because I think I've done a really good breakdown of the song. Yeah, very sad. Martin, you're right. Well, so I hope everybody gets a chance to join me on Sunday for the live stream celebration of reaching 20,000 subscribers, which I never expected. 3 years ago this month I started, and I just did it for actually therapy. I was going through a tough time health wise, and my therapist recommended I do something because he knows I'm an Elvis fan. He suggested I should this early in the morning, my coffee. He first suggested I do reactions to Elvis songs, but I looked at him. I said, "I've heard Elvis's songs how many times, and how do I do an honest reaction?" Oh wow, I never heard that one before. Oh golly gee whiz, wow, that's awesome. I couldn't do that. So he knew I was a musician. So he said, "Well, just and everybody knows what I did. I started doing breakdowns." Grumpy Fly, I really appreciate you joining. I'd be curious one day to find out how you came up with that. That's pretty cool. I really like. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I just love the name. I think it's a great. I've seen some great names over the. I've seen one that's called Severed Heads. I don't know if I really even want to know what that means. Severed Heads. But I love your name. It's awesome. So let me show yours. Elvis wouldn't want these minions of hatred interviewers. You're right. They're not fans, anyways. NY. Thanks for joining. I hope you can make it on. And you are on the East Coast, correct? I'm remembering these things. And Martin is in Ireland. I was hoping to get a few people from down under because I'm doing 2 live streams. I'm going to do one the next morning at 7 o'clock Monday morning to hit down under because they were all saying they can't make the one at 12:30 on Sunday. So I'm going to try to keep it down to under 90 minutes on Sunday because I don't want to run over into Steve's broadcast. But I'm excited about giving away a few things and talking about what I've got going and show a few things and just have a nice discussion. So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I appreciate it. Let me vent here. I think I'm going to continue doing what I'm going to do. But I'm going to do it in a little more tactful and respectful way. And I'm not, like I said earlier, I'd rather French kiss an orangutan than name these people that hey, spew this hate. But I'm also not going to let the hate go. Much as I stood that yesterday, I was back and forth, and I kind of defended my position. And everybody's got their own position, how they want to do it. That's their own business. It's not up to me. So I'm going to sign off here. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'm surprised I even got up to 10 viewers today because of the time, but it was nice to have everybody drop in. I really appreciate it. But TCB to everybody, and everybody have an absolutely brilliant day. And if you've ordered the new box set, my review is going to be out later today. And of course, the media download will be tomorrow, and a lot of you will be receiving the box set in the mail within a day or two. So, NY, thank you so much. You're right. I agree. They should be taken off the air. I don't know how we get them to do it, but I know there's a way to address address community standards, but I don't know if that'll
Petitions.
end good.
That's why.
I've got a video coming out too the next day or two that talks about the YouTube copyright blocking all, the real story behind it all. There's so many misconceptions about the whole thing. And I'm going to give a video. So it'll be kind of nerdish and boring to a few people, but it'll kind of explain some things about why some of our videos get blocked and all that. So everybody, love you all. Appreciate you stopping in, and y'all have an awesome day. Bye.